watching?
Other animals.
I'm watching alligators.
Is this Khan Academy?
Mm-hmm.
So good. Are you learning?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, I'm off to work, baby.
Near shore
Okay, I love you. Have a good time at work.
We're doing a video on joy, on work, and what brings us joy. Penelope's having a little bit of joy because she's having a Freezy Pop while doing Khan Academy and learning about alligators. And Raylan's having a little bit of joy as he sees his classmates in virtual learning. He wants to be with them in person, but for now, this is the best we've got here in Nashville.
A few slow, deep breaths. And I want you to think of a friend in our class. Pick a friend in our class.
Yeah, so the video today is on joy, work joy, what gives you joy. We're not getting into the debate between what is joy versus happiness. And then we're going to talk about like where we ground ourselves. So let's go check this out. All right, Shayna, how was the balloon ride?
It was so fun. You should try it sometime.
That was awesome. This camera is probably too heavy for this.
I see.
So we're talking about joy.
Yes, we're talking about joy.
What brings you joy?
What brings me joy is fashion, shopping, my nieces and nephews. Kids in general are fun.
Kids in general,
that I can return to the parents that own them.
And this is true. She, every once in a while, takes Penelope out for like a little walk. And when I say walk, I mean like they go to Auntie Shayna's house.
Yeah, we get ice cream or watch TV or go to some kiddie place that she likes.
Yeah, so kids are one of those things that bring you joy.
Yeah.
And as we were just talking about, we wouldn't do this work if it wasn't joyful, right? Like we do have a lot of joy in the work. It's not like, oh, woe is me, we work for a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And we're sad all the time about all the things.
Yeah, like the cares of the world. Like
I remember one of my first like moments of like real, oh my goodness, this is so good.
Yeah.
Joy at the academy. And that was in our first graduation.
Yeah, but that was fun.
It was 2016. All right, so the first like oh my goodness story was at our very first graduation. We had only had one site ever. We were trying to figure out if this thing was any good.
Yeah.
And one of our graduates stood up and talked about, it's a young girl, she's like 13 at the time, talked about how she wanted to sell 100 units, right, in the next year. And hearing any kid talk about like these, you know,
these are my goals,
here are my sales goals and my units, you know, by end of Q4. And one of the business leaders who was there, it was actually Mignon.
Yeah, I love her cupcake collection.
Mignon stood up and she was like, hey, I want to buy your first 100 units tonight. And then a second business leader that was there that night, he stood up and he was like, I want to buy your second 100 units.
Yeah.
So like in one evening, she had sold all, she had hit her goal and then doubled it.
Yeah.
And that was the moment for me where I was like, man, seeing her joy connect to the audience in a meaningful way and then get amplified. Right? That was a big deal. All right, the camera was too heavy.
Yeah.
We're gonna put it down. I had that moment, right, where it was like a really high, but I remember like right after that, there was a ton of struggle.
Yeah.
And I realized that if I like linked my identity to the outcome, if you will, like I was only as good as the high was or as low as the challenge was.
Right.
And so I'm not like, what I realized was Christ has to be worth it, not the results.
Right.
Or not like chasing the feeling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like working unto God, and that God being pleased is the ultimate goal. And in that, believing that God will give us the struggle, right? Because it's necessary to pick up your cross, like all of that is real. But also that He will give us...
And He's doing a work in us.
Exactly. And He's helping us understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, especially in the lows, reminding us of the highs. But we also believe that He will bring joy in that, but the joy is found in Him and not in the work.
And also like that the more decisions I make that are just chasing a feeling, my decision making gets poorer. Right?
Absolutely.
Like versus taking that time to rest and trust in the Lord and reminding myself like, oh, like God cares about our neighbors, right? And God calls us to love our neighbors. He cares about economic justice. He cares about economic equity, right?
Yeah.
Read all of the prophets, right? Like
Insert Bible here.
Yeah. Insert like huge chunk of Old Testament.
Yeah.
Also Jesus ministry. But I can't judge it based on the most immediate result.
Absolutely.
Or how I'm feeling on that day.
Yeah, and we're on God's timing, so that's not always. Usually, is not actually in sync with our timing. And
Oh,
so,
no. If I could schedule...
Yeah, come on, Jesus, we need you right here.
Yeah,
although
Jesus
God has shown up in our moments of like, we need you right here for sure. But yeah, so we're in Kairos. You know, if you believe in Kairos time, and we believe that we're working on God's time, then it never will match a one-to-one of what we think it should.
Yeah, and so as an executive director, I think what you're going to find, and this is a big kind of loop it back around to this video series, you will have your own internal, rhythms that are going, your own new ways to be grounded in the Lord, but you will also set the tone and the vibe for the rest of the team, right? And a little bit of this is like the captain of the ship, right? If you hit a storm, if the captain starts freaking out, everyone starts freaking out, right?
Yeah.
But the captain internally could be like, oh man, this is bad, right? But outwardly, you're like, all right, you grab that mast, you grab that, I don't know any other boat terms, right? Like that
Grab
other
this
thing.
raft.
That rope
Yeah.
needs to be tied in a nautical,
To the anchor.
yeah, to the anchor. I'd be a terrible...
You haven't
ship
watched
captain.
Titanic? These are all the words I learned from Titanic. See, I found an interesting dichotomy in this as the receiver of your captain experience.
Yeah.
I personally, although this may not be a good team executive director trait, I like a good balance of cool and freak out, right? Like when I'm freaking out and Will's too cool, it makes me anxious that I don't think he understands what I'm saying. You don't understand. It's graduation
So give him
day.
good feedback?
Yeah, here's an example. On graduation, the last one we had in person, somebody had picked up my laptop and moved it. My laptop has everything on it. It had the PowerPoint on it. Thank God I had sent it to other people just to look at and help with. But like it was the thing.
Yeah.
I was freaking out. It was in the midst, like it had already started, and somebody picked it up, and I'm like, ah, right? And I go to Will, and he's like, well, he's eating, guys, eating. Well, we can get another laptop. We'll find it afterwards. Let's just do this. Let's just do that. And although the problem solving I appreciate it, the calmness. I was like, well, you don't understand. This is my laptop. This is the whole thing. And so I need a little balance of like, oh my gosh, this is. With like, but we're not gonna die. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Will only has two switches. Like, high intensity, you are freaking everybody out, or you're too cool, this is a problem.
What's funny, no one's ever said like
We're
that I'm
drowning.
too calm. I think like you're the only one.
I have had to calm Will.
But for the record, the reason I was so calm was because Shayna
Yeah.
had said that I was too over the top the last time.
He was in fact too over the top.
And I
the last
wasn't
time.
freaking out. I was just involved in all the things, right?
Yeah, you were a little freaking out.
So what I'm not saying is don't communicate well with the team.
Yeah.
The reality of what's going on or what's important. What I am saying is don't let your freak out become the team's freak out.
I can find that balance. Yeah.
Yeah. This ended up kind of being two videos.
Sure.
It's like a joy and kind of where does it reside in the work? Because this is joyful. Like
Yeah.
I have a ton of fun. And at the same time, don't ride the emotional
Ride the wave.
wave.
Yeah.
Because it will crash.
Yeah. / leadership types. That we just talked about.
Yep. So guys, we're going to be talking about this, leadership styles, getting the right balance, all these kind of things, as well as, hot topics like how does racism and bias play into fundraising?
Yeah.
We've got that episode to look forward to. So if you like and enjoy this content, hit subscribe,
Yes.
follow along. We have a goal of getting 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
We're like a long way away from that.
We're not that far.
See the optimism.